Hello listeners and welcome to our special video from Fantasy Expert. We used to deliver this series in Arabic where we chat with FPL managers with top track record and share with us their key successes and strategies in playing Fantasy Premier League. We decided this time to record this episode in English because we meet Falah from Oman, who's currently the joint second in the world. Falah, welcome, how are you?
Welcome, Karam. Happy to be here with you to share with you my success story.
I'm very delighted to have you here. As you can see here in the screen, here is Falah. Here is the season, phenomenal season, Falah. What a season for you. He's now overall ranked, what you can say third or joint second because they have the same amount of points with Jay, just behind Adam Levy, who is the top of the Fantasy Premier League this season. Falah, before I ask you anything about the success or the strategies you worked in, I want to ask you about your feeling right now as being one of the, let's say, top three in the game this season. How do you feel about that?
Yes, that's a really good feeling to be in the top. I think the pressure is on now. Really, for the first time, I feel I'm being pressured on the top to hold the second position, as I missed out on a big haul for triple captain Salah this past week. But I'm still in a good position. Hopefully, I can end up where I set my target is.
That's excellent. We will chat about the triple captainship that you still have it until now. You missed probably a big opportunity with Mo Salah, but we'll speak about it in a short time. But here it is, phenomenal, one-digit figure. 3. I wish I have this record. But let's start with talking generally about this season. When you started this season, before we start about the season, let's start about your history with FPL. How did you start with it, and what is your history with Fantasy Premier League?
Yes, as you know, I've started up my fantasy, let's call it fantasy as a general, playing in 2010. I used to play it on a website, a popular website in the Arabic, the Middle East community, Kura.com, and they had a fantasy game there. It was basically a free hit every week where you change your squad completely, the 11 players, and you score points. And I fell in love with that game, so I played it there for 2 or 3 seasons, and I was fortunate enough to end up in the top 10 in the Middle East, if you will. So that was
Nice.
really my start at the beginning.
Very, very good. And have you used to
later
play
on-
only Premier League? Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, later on, I fell very passionately about the game, where I actually developed my own website, where I actually, started up the idea from the mind, from brainstorming, just with me handwriting, and then converting that into some document where I can give it to some IT companies to implement, and the project was
Wow.
implemented. Took a year to implement it. And after that, I have had the site running for 3 years in a very old school, let's say, manual entry data, and a lot of challenges. But it was fun because I did it with passion. And 3 years ago, I started playing on the official website.
And you, with the brainstorming and the manual, you decided to build your own website, right? So what is it mainly about, and is it still working until now?
Well, I'll start from the last question. No, it's not working anymore. I did it that period between 2012 and up to 2015, and then I had to switch it off because mobile application and big websites or big sponsors came up into this fantasy world, and they developed very modern and advanced. Couldn't compete, and my technology was only in a web browser, not on a mobile, because mobile at that time wasn't so all popular. 12, sorry. However, the site was up and running for 3 seasons. I had multiple leagues. I could have 3 leagues running simultaneously, and We did a lot of effort, data entry, for example. As you know, today we have Opta, like the company that feeds the data to the Fantasy Premier League. The data comes in manually, automatically through the IT systems, where I actually had to enter over 700 players statistics manually.
Wow.
So 700 players, if you take that assumption, and of course 700 times 10 or 12 fields between played. There were 60 minutes, yellow card, red card, assist, and so forth. So we had to enter everything manually, and it worked. I hired one person for a while to do that one, but that was a nice, really experience, and I carried the journey of fantasy on the official app.
Well, that's very amazing. I mean, when you do some manual work, you get to learn and get to know more of details about the game, and that definitely helped you maybe for this season. But if every manager has his own kind of strategies, and in a way they play Fantasy Premier League. What are your key strategies? How did you, let's put it basically, how did you achieve the number 3 or number 2 in the world at the moment? What are the key strategies you follow or you always follow when playing Fantasy Premier League?
Okay, I think there are many factors really comes up into my rank, really. Like everyone else knows, it's a game of luck, and you have a strategy to maximize your luck, by following certain rules, if you will, or strategies to maximize your luck. And this year there were a few factors actually that helped me up, and I want to mention them in no particular order. And first of all, is my prior experience, because I actually learned what does it mean to have chips at the end of the season. At the beginning of my first season, I finished all my wild cards, free hits, and at that time it was all attack, and by the 7th week all of them were gone. And this year I knew the strategy to hold on the chips, so experience helped me out. Secondly, I actually utilized the social impact of the social media news. So I start to be engaged in Twitter more, so I can absorb a lot of information and process them and take a decision based on this information. Of course, it's like a sword, double edge.
Was it your first season when you entered Twitter?
Yes. This is the first time I actually am using Twitter to process some information and make decision. I realize now at the end of the season, it's like a double-edged sword, where actually it can hurt you or it can actually benefit you. So you have to be careful what to take and not to just follow the crowd and follow everything said on the Twitter FPL community. Still make your own decision and process the data as much as you can independently from the impact of other or influence of the other people on you.
That's very good. That's one of the key strategies you followed. Any other strategies as well that you used this season?
Yes, definitely. So this is in general, but for this year, I actually the strategy was for me at one point I made a very decisive decision, and that was basically at a certain time of the season, early in the season, and now I'm sure it's no longer a very difficult decision to make. Is basically I ignored the Pep Guardiola rotation risk issues. So I just ignored it completely. I went with my man, let's say, my key two people in the fantasy. That's Mohamed Salah, someone who I did not have for 10 consecutive weeks last year during his peak period. So the damage that caused last year for not owning him. So I decided Mohamed Salah will be my base, and then along with it will be number 2 is Raheem Sterling. And I just basically rotated captaincy between them for consecutive weeks, and I had 100% accuracy. and in that really helped me significantly. And of course, starting up strong is very important. So I had a very much basic standard template at the beginning of seasons, no surprises, in a hope that I can adjust my team early if I need to use my wild card, which later on I didn't use my wild card.
Yes, we'll go through the how did you use the chips in a moment. But like you said, so do we understand from you that in game week 1, when you prepare your team, you always go for players who are well known, they have their own pedigree in FPL. You don't start with risks or from maybe new promoted teams, for example, and then after a few weeks time you start to explore and then maybe target them. Is that the way you play it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that were quite useful, I mean, it helped me actually, was there was a lot of gossip in the social media about rotations, especially after the World Cup. So a lot of people were not, keen to bring the big hitters earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But they held it for a longer period until they realized, okay, it's not happening now anymore. However, I just brought them in. I ignored all these talks. Sometimes it did impact me, but however, most of the times I brought in people, key players that were actually performing historically well. So I wanted to bring them in.
Yeah, I think I remember an example to what you said. Eden Hazard at the beginning, they used to be okay. Approach semi-final with Belgium to the World Cup. He's probably need more of a holiday. And then I watched him at the beginning. He come off the bench and assist. Come off the bench again and assist. And I said no, I have to get him in. And then probably game week 3 or 4, he got the first hat trick. So I think these kind of players, you don't have to really miss out, and you just need to pick them maybe on the right time. Okay, so if we go through your team, which is a very interesting discussion we have. First of all, I want to talk about your goalkeeper. It's a spot where we actually don't pay a lot of attention, and we just stick with one goalkeeper at the beginning of the season, maybe two, and rotate, or one sit and forget. But to my surprise, that you start at the beginning with Pickford, which is a bit more expensive with 5 million. You kept him for 16 game weeks, and then you swapped him with Leno, and then you swapped him with Foster, and then recently Alisson, and then Lloris by the current wild card, or the second wild card. So why did you do that? And is that something you care about even with the goalkeeper position?
Of course, I do care about any potential point and where I can bring it from. The goalkeeper is the most difficult place to really put one keeper and just forget throughout the season because of the shift of the game difficulties. But this season, because of the way I built up my team, I thought my starting 11, I always had a starting 11. My plan was always to have at least 9 players playing at any given point, which are potentially having a very easy game, let's say. Except, of course, 2 players, Salah and Sterling. I really didn't care who are playing; they were there irrespective. But the rest, supporting cast, I just made sure at least I had 8-9 players. And every time I just wanted to keep those players because they were performing, and so the keeper was the place where I had a chance to rotate. And I did that a few times. Pickford was a pick for me at the beginning of the season because I thought they had a very good, easy games in the beginning, and they had historically been good also, even though they started poor. However, later on in the season, things changed. I wanted to save some money. I did not use my wild card too early, and I knew I was coming into wild card very soon. So I said I can change to any keeper now I want, and I can fix my team. So all good all season, alhamdulillah.
Very, very good. I think the difficulty in selecting the goalkeeper is actually you select one and you stuck with him basically, because every transfer you use will be for other position, or you think that you need to prioritize it. So it's crucial to pick up what you think is the right goalkeeper. Speaking about your strategy, now the first wild card was used in game week 20, believe it or not. So that's the 26th of December, literally the last weekend or the last week, game week before releasing the new wild card on the 1st of January, which shows potentially that you didn't need to use the wild card because your team was in a good shape. What happened, and why did you make the decision very late to use the wild card?
My team basically was performing very well. I thought there was no particular player that I really disliked from my team. I just had a very solid team. Some of my selection were basically, I was not willingly to change them. So I was just playing around every week, changing one defender to another defender. But my core team was always consistent. My team in the middle and the attack was almost consistent. It was always, I think most of the time I changed the defense or sometimes maybe in the offense, but middle was always stable. And as the weeks were going on, I didn't see the need to do any change, really major change. I was basically forcing myself to destroy my team, something which I didn't want to do. So at the end of the first wild card, I had to use it before it expired, and then I adjusted it, and it was also a useful thing for me.
Okay, that's very excellent. Before we go to the rest of the chips and the second part of the season, which is very interesting for you, I want to touch on game week 10, because game week 10 your rank was 123,000 overall. Game week 13, finished game week 13, your overall rank was 1,000. What happened in that period of time? Who are the players you brought in and carried your success, that huge jump to the top 1,000, and from there you started to build your overall rank up to second for a long time until now?
I remember that decision very well, and it's very easily, I can tell you. Up to week 10, I always had a solid team still, but I had also Aubameyang, and on the first 10 weeks, I was still in the crowd I was listening to the crowd where they said rotation risk, Pep Guardiola is a rotation risk, his players are rotation risk, and I decided, one second, if they are performing so well, I could take the risk now. It will pay off. If it doesn't come on, he can just go to bench. My substitute will come in. I still have at least one or two substitutes who's okay, potentially could return something. So there's no really loss as per se, but the gain and the award were much higher. So from game week number 10, I had Aubameyang. So I decided Aubameyang has given me what he could at that time. Utilized him maximally because he was playing bench and he was coming out in the last 15, 20 minutes and he was scoring 2 goals. A couple of races, exactly. And I said, okay, listen, this guy is not playing a lot. He gave me all he could. It's time to ship him out and get Sterling. So getting Sterling from game 11 was basically, and captaining him, of captaining the right player for consecutive weeks between the trio, Sterling, Salah and Keane. I had big hauls from Sterling, like 40. First time I brought him this season, he gave me 42 points. Then after 2 weeks, I think he gave me another 30 points or so on the game week 13. The following 2 weeks, I think Harry Kane came in and he gave another 25, 26 points. So they were consecutive of good captaincy, and Raheem was performing at that time absolutely madness.
Phenomenal, yeah, yeah. It's all about picking the right player and the right captains, and if you nail the captaincy, that would be a massive, massive jump to your overall rank. Right. Okay. So you use your wild card in game week 20, and well, before we go to the chips again, for your captaincy, I put your account on your FPL statistical to see some analysis of your team, which is phenomenal in all aspects. But I saw the captaincy, like you said, you captain Salah 12 times, you captain Sterling 8 times, and then Aguero 6 times. Sterling averaged 23.3 points, while Salah averaged 14.3. So Sterling was he the key success for you this season?
Well, that's actually definitely is the key success. I think, honestly speaking, if I just look at someone who always stood very much clear above all, was the timing of and the captaining of Sterling at the right time made a difference to me. Maybe doubling up with also Liverpool between Mane and Salah earlier in the season, also at certain time. They also had consecutive weeks. So everything was falling rightly to the maximum for consecutive weeks. And when you have that luck for 4 weeks or 5 weeks, you will be amazed of how much jump you can make early in the season. Especially, I made it to top of Oman in week 13.
Wow.
In the first season, I made it in top Oman in week 26. Exactly half the period it took me.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Sterling is a key player for you. If you can name another 2 players, who would they be? I know the list is big, but let's say 3 huge players that make a big difference for you. Who are they? Probably we need to get them next season, regardless of their price.
Yes. I'm getting them again, definitely. I think one of the most important thing for me was basically having the base of my team right, and those consistent performers. Raheem was number 1, definitely. Number 2 was definitely, to me, I really consider David Lewis was very critical for my success because I got him in week number 4. Yeah. He was a little bit overshadowed by Alonso, but I think in the overall run at the right time, he was producing more, and he was actually scoring and assisting in certain period of the season quite a lot also. So that was really a star of the team. That last person, I will say, combination of players which came at the right time and departed at the right time, and those are between. We're talking about Son. So I got Son's all big holes during the period before the Asian Cup. He was scoring. I don't remember 20, 21 points like 3 weeks in straight, something like that.
He couldn't just stop scoring. He was about to go to Asia, and we did not bring him just because he's going to Asia. But before going to Asia, goal after goal after goal. Wow.
Yeah, he was on fire, I think, and he's my favorite player in fantasy. So I had no doubt that he would perform. Other players, miscellaneous, basically bringing the right player, bringing him out at the right time was critical. So Son was one of those stories. Richarlison, Anderson was one of those stories. Fraser also at one point, if I remember.
Yeah.
But 2 stands out very clearly. The third are miscellaneous. I'm not going to mention Salah because I made a decision earlier in the season. Salah is not leaving. Even if he's injured, I'm going to keep him.
Wow, that's very loyal to Mo Salah. So those players are consistent, let's say, or part of those players are consistent, the likes of Sterling, Salah. But we also like to look at the explosive players who can just come out of nowhere and get some holes. The question is, how do you anticipate at least those players, and based on what you're gonna pick them up? What do you do to pick the right players, especially the explosive ones?
Basically, what I do is I always keep my team base the same. I try to give them faith as much as I can. I don't just bring player. I try him out as a differential for 1 week, and then I depart
That's a
him.
good one.
If I bring a player, and I'll give you two stories here. If I bring a player, I would keep them for certain time, minimum 4 weeks, to give them a chance. Of course, when I say 4 weeks, it could go even more, even to 6 to 8, depend on how I consume my transfer.
Yeah.
But usually, those are my players that really make significant difference. And those players are this year I kept. While everyone went for Pereira at the beginning of season, I withheld on Delifou for a long period. I think he's still in my team.
Oh.
But he, if you notice, I don't play him every time, but I played him certain times, and I got from him hat-trick, and 2 weeks ago, 2 goals. I've got also a funny player, which I thought he would do good in certain games, just because, I thought this guy really will have to score eventually, and that was Westwood from Burnley.
Oh, did you go that far?
Yeah,
Westwood.
Yeah. So I had Westwood at one point. He was my very special differential. I kept him
at
for
4.4.
so long that
That's
I
crazy.
thought, So I got from him 2 times really nice points. And whenever you have this type of differential get you point, you will be amazed by the rank jump that you get. It's not even like how much you get from, of course, captaining will get you the most. Captaining, right, the player will get you the most jump in rank. But if you get that right, plus you have one of those players have a hole, you have a really big jump. And those are the players that helped me out also this season.
I don't think Westwood was at any point owned by more than 1.5 or 1%, maybe, or 2 maximum. Well, if you get something from him, he's huge differential, especially when you play on top ranks.
I gained this experience trying to find someone from the middle from my season 1.
Yeah.
And you remember what's his name? Team that relegated when.
Fulham?
Which team relegated to?
Or Huddersfield?
No, not this season.
Not this season.
Not
okay.
this season. 2 seasons ago, where I think the Egyptian player was playing in it, also defender Hijazi.
West Brom. I think you mean Hijazi. West Brom. Yes.
West Brom. So in that team, I actually chose Matt Phillips, and I captained him in first season. Man, the guy gave me a lot of points captaining that guy.
Wow, it
was a fun time. Pedro, you need to take some risks. It's fun. It's a lot, but risks also good.
Well, here's an interesting point. So those special picks, were they based on research or based on gut feeling? Because I know you like to follow your gut feeling most of the times. Was it that part?
Look, to be honest with you, I'm not a fan of reading numbers and statistics, even though I truly believe it can help.
Okay.
It does help. I look at the matches, eye test helps me a lot, and a combination of things gives you gut feeling. And this year, I tell you, I listen to my guts, and it's very important that you give faith to that one, because that's you. You are the one who having that feeling that this guy potentially could perform better. You cannot ask another person and take his opinion, because it's your own guts. It's not his opinion. So go with that one, especially when it comes to making a difficult decision. You can consult, take advice, but in the community, people who are popular, who have got good rank, are well respected, and other people are listening to them. I'm telling you, and I'm telling all the audience, don't listen to what I say. Listen to your guts, because I am just like you. I play the game. I get a little more lucky than you. but I cannot, advise you and tell you go for that player, because your guts is different based on your interpretation of things and information. So that's an important point. Don't copycat people. Just play it for fun. I think one of the most important things, yes, ranking is important in the game, but really it's irrelevant at some point also. Ranking gives you such satisfaction. It's nothing. Yeah, this year I am on this position. Next year I could be very low, but that's also acceptable. And I'm gonna enjoy next season also, as I am down where I would belong, maybe. But I will still compete with my friends in our mini league. It's fun. It's supposed to bring people together and have a good time and enjoy it. If it happened to be your rank is too high, enjoy it while it lasts. Then we're back normal, yeah.
Wow, that's brilliant message to every manager. And of course the Twitter community, the website, they offer a huge amount of information, and we give our thoughts. Let's say that doesn't mean you have to listen to us. Just go with your gut feeling, taking into account this information, these kind of thoughts in account indeed. Moving on, I'd like to talk briefly about your formation. Now I think one of the most popular formations we use is definitely the 3-4-3, but the 3-4-3 for you was not the most used formation. It was not the second most used in formation. It was the third one. So the most used formation was 3-5-2 11 times, 4-4-2 surprisingly 9 times, and then 3-4-3 8 times. So why is that difference, and what did you find with the 3-5-2, that special thing that you use it most of the times more than any kind of other formation?
Yeah, I think that is really statistics which I didn't know. Obviously, because that formation is not one of my criteria when it comes to selection a team.
Okay.
I select the team based on which players has the potential to bring the most points, and accordingly I put them in the team, and whatever formation that comes, then that's what it is. But surprisingly, like you said, the 3-5-2 was the most one used.
Yeah, it is the most.
Yeah. So that just basically concurs and confirms that really my reliance on the midfield has been more significantly this year, and it's a fact because
you have more options. Definitely,
yes, you have more options, and the experience I gained from last year, I realized you have two gyms. If they are performing, you can have them. The rest you cannot, and those were basically between Harry Kane and Aguero. Anyone else you would bring in, you'll not get the most of the value there. Aubameyang comes a little behind, but they're too expensive to have. Midfield brings more point. You get clean sheet point, all valuable. They accumulate. Imagine you get 5 clean sheets from your midfield. That's like 5 points. That's like another player. Bonus points for you.
That's nice way of thinking of it. So are you kind of like player you like to get Kane and Aguero together, or just one of them? Just to clarify something,
Can never ever have them together.
Okay. That's
Did
too
I
much
have
for
them
the
over
forward.
the season? No. Yeah. Maybe I would bring them together. Had they been much more consistent, less injury prone. This year, unfortunately, we have seen them, both of them, go out for a period of time, and whenever a prime player goes out, it's very difficult to bring him back, because you'll have to destroy your team and do big surgery.
Yes, definitely. All right, so couple of more things to cover before we finish this video. I'd like to talk about your chip strategy. So we mentioned at the beginning you used the first wild card in game week 20. Then you followed the strategy of free hit in game week 32, the first double game week, or it could be second if we consider 25 as a double game week, and then wild carded for 34, bench boost 35, triple captain is still in play. Could be in 37 or 38. We'll touch on it the last point of the video. But I want to ask you, are you happy with the general outcome of your strategy? Do you think that it was successful? Could it be much better? Is it not, you're not happy with it? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, actually, I have a mixed feeling about them. Really, to be honest with you, I did my best in terms of the strategy. I believe I've executed not all the chips at the right time, most of them. There's an area for improvement. Okay. I think the outcome is not what I've expected. It's much less actually this year than the previous year. Yeah. However, we have had some issues with the rotation on the last double game week. For example, not captaining the not using triple captain also last week also made me pay the price. Okay, but that was my decision. I made that decision. I made that decision, and hopefully I can rectify it in the next 2 games and make something of it.
Perfect. So last thing we'll speak about your triple captain chip and your target. Now you are joint second. On paper, it seems that Adam Levy is a bit far away compared to the fact you have only 2 game weeks. The difference about 20 and 48, 68 points. So it could be you have still the triple captain. Anything can happen. But what is your target now, and what do you plan to do in the next couple of weeks if you have something now in place?
I think it's a good question, really. And when I started the season, I have put target, and this is actually my every year target. It's not going to change. I want to be the number 1 in my country. Okay.
Nice.
So that's my target, really. But that's not my ultimate target, because my ultimate target is to beat my friends in my mini league, like you, like everyone else.
Yes, yeah, so definitely.
I like to beat them also in my mini league, and along with that, I target the number 1 in Oman.
Well, probably
so I target number 1.
Probably your friends now they give up.
No, I'm beating them very well. Don't worry. For 200 points plus.
Yeah, they give up. They don't play anymore.
Every season like that, my friend. Hopefully they see it and they laugh at it.
Very good.
Anyhow, what I want to tell you, because of the situation I'm in this year, I happen to be doing very well. So I want to take advantage of my current situation, and hope I hoped that I had a chance to make it to number 1. This basically was my target when I was around week number 29 or 30. At that time, I thought I have a shot at it. Yeah. We were at that time a lot of managers not used any of their chips at that time, and my rank was 14 or I don't remember, 14th I think, or 29th.
Still phenomenal.
Because the gap was at that time. Yeah, it was a reasonable gap within a week. However, to be honest with you, after double game week 34. I have completely 180 degree changed my strategy, and I truly believe that the gap is built too big. For me to aim for number 1, I will have to destroy my team, destroy my strategy, use different wild card, other different than the top 10, and I was gonna get hurt badly. So I said that's not worth it. Let me do my best to maintain my second position. Yes. And currently, that's my target.
Second position.
Speaking, I want to end in the second. Absolutely, I want to do. That's no lie or anything. I'm still gonna be happy if I end up anywhere, because as I said, it's just at the end, it's the game. Ending top 3 is really. Something that now I want to achieve this year, definitely top 3. That's what I'm putting. But I tell you in front of the camera now, I want number 2, not 3. So 3 will be a little disappointing. Yeah, 3 will be a little disappointing, but I will still be happy. I'm targeting
it is just fine margin, very small margin. You are absolutely on it. Just to the listeners can see how many points is the difference between the second and the number 6. It's like 14 points. So any captaincy, any goal or a brace can make a big difference. So it's on fire. The competition here is on fire, and you deserve it, Falah. And I really wish you all the best. Thank you very much for being. Will you speak before I thank you? What is your plan for the triple captain? If you can share the information, because you still have it.
Yeah, of course. It's okay. My triple captain will be used. I mean, of course, where could it be used other than 37 or 8?
Yes.
Now, I thought about. Let me explain to you what was my theory of not using the
I'm
triple
interested.
captain. Just so people put that aside.
Yeah.
If you look at the result last week at the end of game 35, I was also tied on the second position with another colleague competitor, and I said, okay, there is no point for me. Everyone is going to captain Salah. I'm not going to gain significant of that. There's no way that anyone would not captain Salah against Huddersfield. There's no way, impossible. And this person went on and did not captain Salah, the one guy who I was tied with. So it just completely. He destroyed.
He tricked you.
Destroyed, but he actually fell in the rank significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately for him, he fell in the rank, and but I also had, unsurprisingly, which I expected, newcomers to that position. And every time you have free chips, any chips used in any week, whether it is triple captain or bench boost, the rank fluctuation will be huge. People from far away, they can climb the ladder like a rocket. So I was expecting someone to jump in, and obviously there is someone who jumped into that second position now.
Yes.
Yeah?
And you speak about Jay,
if you look at it,
And you speak about Jay, who used the triple captain on Mo Salah. So he was, I think, 7th or 8th, and he just all of a sudden jumped to the second place. So he's in contention as well for the second spot.
That's really good for happy for him. Obviously, you look at the point.
Yeah.
This was 19 points I threw in the bin.
Yeah.
And I pay the price. It's a game of decision, right? Do you remember that?
Yes.
Game of decision. Game of decisions. You make your decision and you pay the price for your decision. I made the decision not to captain him. I actually didn't expect 2 goals and an assist and a BPS 3 points from Mohamed Salah. That's unheard of. Yeah.
That's unusual. That's unusual for Mo Salah.
Yeah. So I got 19 points in the bin because not using triple captain. Look at the bright side. I still look at the bright side. I am tied. I have still my triple captain.
Absolutely.
It's going to be critical to choose the right captain the next 2 weeks. I honestly don't know who am I going to captain. I would wish I can announce it also, but what can I do? I haven't decided. So hopefully next 2 weeks we will see.
Yes, we are recording on Monday, and the next deadline of Game 37 is on Friday, so you have a lot of time to tinker about it and make decisions around it. There are still some nice options for 37 and 38. Probably will not be as nice as Salah versus Huddersfield, but who knows? Everything is possible. Alright, so Falah, finally I'd like to thank you so much for your time and joining us and having this very nice conversation. I'm really proud of your achievement, and every listener will be so happy to listen to your story and your success. And hopefully, definitely we learn some tips from you. Probably too late for this season, but definitely for next season. Thank you very much for joining, and good luck for 37 and 38.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Karam, and wish you all the success. Please carry on what you do. We need more people like you.
I'm falling in the ranking at the moment, so I'll try my best.
Believe me, my friend, the ranking is overrated. Just love the game, do it passionately, and whatever
Yes.
comes, just take it, enjoy it.
Yes, absolutely. We love the game, and actually, we love hating the game. So, in all aspects, it's all about loving the game. Definitely, 100%.
Talk about person throwing a 19 points in a bin. Yeah, it hurts.
At this moment, it's a huge. Right. Okay.
But
Thank
it's
you.
still try.
Thank you, Falah. Thank you very much, and thank you for all. Yeah, thank you for all listeners for watching. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Please like the video and share with your friends if you see it very useful. It's a very successful story, and we are really proud to talk with Falah and hear story of phenomenal season he is doing. And we wish him all the luck. Thank you very much. Thank you, Falah, and have a good week.
Shukran. Thank you.